computer. Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. And I wanted to start off with approval of the agenda. Is there anything anybody would like to add on under other business or anything?
There's a copy of that agenda.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm
It's right
sorry,
on the
it's right
corner.
there on the table. Yes, Peter.
I recall last time requesting we spend some time estimating the amount of usage, the number of members in the club, and the response from our state. I'm hoping we can refine that a little bit and hear what Ian has to say about the size of the effort here.
Would you be okay if we put that in with our survey questions and that, because that's, I think, relevant to that. That's what we're trying to accomplish with the survey,
Okay.
is to try to determine
Yeah. okay.
usage,
Yeah.
because we don't really know the answer to that question.
No, I understand, and I've got some comments that I think we could help model it out and make a scenario that gives a starting point.
Okay, so I'll put usage, make sure that we do discuss it under that time frame. Is that all right, Peter?
And
Is that okay with everybody?
did I understand you meant you also wanted to hear the size of the local club?
Yes, and the figure, you said 68 before, but he said that's just an arithmetic average.
Okay.
All
right,
So
so
in any case, that.
size
And the
of
other thing is I
club.
had the agenda. Can we get down to the 48 hours instead of the 72 hours? I think that's half the week. Whereas it's the agenda, which is not due until 48 hours before the meeting,
Yes.
if we could go with the 2 days instead of the 3 days that you've been doing back to Sunday instead of Monday.
So what would you like me to do? Be sure to send out the agenda on a Sunday?
No, on a Tuesday.
I can't do that because they need it 48 hours ahead of time to post it.
Okay, I'm sorry, on a Monday, then that's right, that they had it Monday.
They can still get it on Monday, and
Yeah.
that's correct.
Great, and I hope that we could do that instead of Sunday.
Oh, stop
Sunday-
sending it out on Sunday.
No, yeah, send it out Monday.
Yeah, I can still do it on Monday morning, and it's within the time
Okay,
frame for
great.
it to be posted by Wednesday.
Thanks, I think that's better than the 3-day window. It's just, if that's only.
Yeah, it's hard for me because I start work at 6 in the morning on Monday, and I don't I have to work a 12-hour day. So that's why I do it on Sunday, just because of my work
I
schedule.
did not understand that.
Yeah,
Just
if
so
that's
we know.
okay.
Right, sorry.
I mean, I can send it out late Sunday. That's what I did the other day, so.
That sounds fine, whatever, I didn't realize you had that.
Yeah, I gotta go to work on
Yeah,
Monday.
sure.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so size of the club and then number of users is what we're looking at, right?
Huh?
Estimate, I mean, you're not gonna,
Okay.
I would think it would have to be an estimate, I mean. I'm not
Yeah,
gonna-
no, that's
yeah.
what we're trying to find out through the survey. Okay, anybody else, anything else you'd like to add on there? All right, here,
Point of information.
yes.
Rick Schulman is a neighbor of mine. My name is Stuart Ketchum, by the way.
Okay, Stuart, thank you for letting our scribe know that.
And I spoke to him on the phone today, and he says he's just overwhelmed at work. He can't get help, and he's too much to do. So he begs your
Yes,
understanding of his
Yes.
absence.
he sent us all an email to let us know that he
Oh, okay.
was running at least an hour behind in work and then still has an hour drive to get home. So thank you for coming and sharing that with us. Okay, anything else? All right, so someone wanna make a motion that we accept the agenda with that addition from Peter.
Motion, we accept the agenda.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, aye, great. Any public comments? Now would be a good time. Stuart, if you had any comments you wanted to make.
I do.
Okay, you have the floor?
I've been away for 2 months, so I haven't been following you on Zoom. But prior to that, on March 21, I had a conversation with John Dunville,
Mhm.
who said that the road posted signs were in. And the Pepperell Road was about to be posted, which is the one that connects with McIntosh Pond Road on one end and that's the road in Tunbridge on the other end of just a second. Jigger Hill Road on the other end.
He's technically still Royalton. Jigger Hill doesn't turn, but anyways,
So.
So what kind of sign? I'm not sure what you're talking about.
Oh, well, according to the state information about festival roads, the town can post them if they want to. And I requested that they be posted. Specifically this one, because it's a mud hole.
To post it as a class 4 road?
No, to post it so that it's not used.
During mud
certain
season?
Times of the year.
Oh, okay, during mud season, like,
Yeah. so
and
it's
snow.
to prohibit wheeled vehicles.
Okay,
And so anyway, at that time, March 21, John said that the signs were in it, that it would be posted. It wasn't at that time, because I had a conversation with someone who was up there. And I walked it today and it's not posted today either. Now, whether the signs were put up and removed, I don't know, but it isn't posted, and there is no way for a wheeled vehicle to navigate that road. And for most of its, I would say for at least half of its distance, without making those wheel ruts and the mud holes worse. So I don't know if the select board has decided not to post it.
Why would you want to post a class 4 road against traffic? I
Against
mean,
wheel,
what are the potholes? Are they bothering somebody?
well, I walk that road.
Well, yeah, you can still walk it.
I can walk it, but it is not easy, and it isn't, and it is way worse. I
Well, it's
mean,
not easy because it's woods all up through there. It's an
No,
old
it's not easy
road.
because the mud extends the entire track of the road.
You ought to come up on there, up on Rutland Hill, where we got a class 3. I mean, you want it. I mean,
So
it's the
a
same
class-
thing.
So
Of
that class 3 is maintained by the town,
course it is. All class
and
3s
right
are.
now it's not navigable.
No, it's navigable. So isn't that road. Depends on what you're using.
Well, if it's frozen in the wintertime,
Look, that's a town road. That's a town road. It isn't
Let
just a
him
so-
road.
finish.
so-
Let him make his comment, please, if we
Well,
could, and then you can respond.
I
so.
mean, hold my.
So, it is not possible for me to walk that without getting my feet wet. So let's put it that way. I love to walk the country roads. I walk them with my dog. And when I first moved here in the mid-80s, it was very easy to walk that because it wasn't rutted, and now it is. It has been effectively destroyed as a bicycling road. And it's annoying, to be honest. It smacks of disrespect for other people who use that road, unless they like to go mudding with their four-wheel drive vehicle. So that's why I requested it be posted. I was told that it might be, that it would be, and I was told that the posted signs were in. And maybe it was posted and the signs were removed, I don't know.
I would say that you really need to go to the select board because we wouldn't know anything about that with this committee. I mean, we didn't have anything to do with the posting of that road or what they were or weren't gonna do, or if it's been posted or not. I think
So
you
so
really.
you are just, this committee is only discussing opening the approach to these class 4 roads, is that true?
So, and the other thing, maybe, Stuart,
For ATV.
just to catch you up, as of right now, we're technically not looking at doing the Tunbridge spur. So there might be a lot of things that you're not necessarily privy to, so hold on.
Okay,
When I say the Tunbridge spur, that's what goes from our trailhead in Royalton Village to get, to Jigger Hill, to use Pepperell Road and or Button Hill, make the loop with Dairy Hill to then connect to Tunbridge. As of right now, just because of the focus on what we had with our Barnard being our clearer town that we could connect to, we've just been focusing on that. We hadn't been putting a lot of effort into Tunbridge until as of just the last week or so. But the one thing I've continued to remind, folks that we have involved here is that we would like to be involved with the, upgrade or maintenance or whatever needs to happen up there. Are there ruts up there? Yes, there are, created by other vehicles, not just ATVs, bigger
Most of
truck. Can I finish? You had your time. There was a lot of misuse of that trail, I would say, probably through the 80s and 90s, but that was probably with trucks and Jeeps with much larger tires, much heavier vehicles. The other thing that happened after whatever time of people making it so nearly impassable was that whole area had a lot of down tree debris that actually then caused a lot of water damming back up through other sections. In fact, there's a section where we cut a bunch of trees out of the original roadbed last year, and it's much drier now, or that was 2 years ago. It's much drier now than it was 2 years ago. But plus or minus, the Stoneville Trail, everybody else has just been naturally using a different route because yes, that roadbed was so muddy. Us as part of the ATV committee would love to be involved with figuring out, and I've said this word for word multiple times. We'd like to look at when it comes time for us, if we can get approval to even be in this town, that we'd love to walk that road with the neighbors and the conservation committee. There's some of those places up there that need culverts, but you need to do it very sensitively so that you don't just completely de-water things that have started to try to be wetlands. But there's a known town highway roadbed up there. So it's a matter of balancing, what do you do to establish the roadbed again, make it, so it's not going to erode, put in the water bars, put in the drainage, put in materials in need, but not necessarily change the ecology of what is going on up there. So we absolutely understand that needs to happen. And then to address your point on the posted roads, I agree with you 100% that other towns like Hartford, Pomfret, or whatever, they have actual signs on some of their class 4 roads that say wheel travel is not permitted on these trails from, usually they go by the snowmobile season, December 15th to April 15th. And as I think I told you when I spoke with you before, I would be for something like that we would also, speak to the select board that, we don't want people out there running it up in off season. There would definitely be season limitations to ATV use as part of this ordinance anyways, whether we're talking about May 15th, June 1st, whatever. And in each trail, the traditional thing that happens in the state is each trail gets walked by the trail master or, other VASA officials and then basically says, okay, this trail is now competent enough for travel. If it's not dried out enough to the point where you can't travel it without running it, certain trails just get shut down. It might be, all right, hey, the town's open except for this trail and this trail and this trail as they wait for it to dry out. So is that's just our general take, and Tim, you can probably speak more to that.
Well, I was just gonna comment that Ian's correct on that because I do a lot up in Island Pond. They opened their trails up last weekend with the exception of one because it's still wet. You're allowed to go to the left. It sounds funny, but you can't go to the right.
So I apologize for not knowing your name. You didn't introduce yourself, Ian, but during the course of the conversation, I realized who you were.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm sorry, I'm Tim Parker.
And to comment on what you just said, I looked at what's today, it is June 1. And so my request to the town select board, I guess they're the ones responsible for posting the roads, is that they post them now and not remove those posted signs until it is navigable. And if you're going to do some upgrading, fine. About half the distance of that road is not great. And there is a section of that road that hasn't been used for years. And I don't know if that's the section you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like somebody started down that road, but that section, they didn't go the whole length of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they went at about 100 feet and that was it.
And then just one other thing to reiterate. So from other discussions with the committee, when the time comes, if there's any opportunity for us as an ATV club to help do anything and get any money from the state, VASA, how they get their money, that has to be shown on the trail map as a bona fide trail for us to get any money. if we can't get that approved, we can't get any money for that. And that's one of those, catch-22 gray areas, because the town doesn't have money for any improvements up there because it is a class 4. But I think that, yeah, probably everyone could agree that there's things up there that are in not good shape, and, I know everybody, has a lot of personal connection to it up there that owns it, and, you feel, disheartened when you go up there and you see different ruts, you see different mud or whatever, and the nature of that, conditions that are up
It
there.
is, for people who want to walk that trail, it is not easy. And it's not easy for a large part of the summer or after a big rain. It's just, and it actually, it is nothing like the class 4 road that it was when I moved here in the middle 80s. And so I guess if this committee is in charge of opening access to the approach roads. No.
No.
So,
We're not in charge of that. We're in charge of writing an ordinance, a draft ordinance, and then present it to the select board, and then they will make the final determination about what roads will be opened up in that. So I think to find out about whether it's been posted or taken off or just not posted yet, I would contact Victoria, the town administrator, and get on the agenda. I have her number. And get on the agenda. And actually, select board meetings have public comment times in the very first start of their meeting.
and Victoria's name listed?
Yeah, Victoria is the town administrator.
Okay,
And you could either be put on the agenda to have time to talk to the select board, or just speak at the public comments, okay? But they'd be able to maybe respond to you on that.
so another point of discussion about this road in particular is that about 2/3 of the way from the McIntosh Pond end, there is an area which has a ceremonial site, which is important to Abenakis.
Hmm.
And my understanding is that Vermont Land Trust is working to try to get the Abenaki to be engaged in control of that land. The owner, I think, maybe died in the last couple of years, and the people who were in charge of her estate want to turn that over.
Is this the Lynn McCarthy piece?
I'm sorry, I don't have names.
Okay.
Stuart, do you mind explaining again? I'm Pamela Vessel. Nice to meet you. Where you said on the trail that is?
It's about I'm going to say it's about 2/3 of the way. It's closer to the Jigger Hill end.
Okay.
So are you talking about Eagle or Calendar?
Calendar one.
So probably missed something, I tried to explain, before in one of the historic things. There's two
We should
amazing
get
historic
comments, but we
sites.
should stay with our agenda. I mean, respectfully, I think you've had ample time to respond to his concerns, and nobody else has. And I think that it's good for him to Mr. Ketchum to put his comments on the record, but
Okay.
I mean, I don't know, what does our chair say?
It's fine, it's fine. So what is
So
your?
my recommendation
Yeah,
is that
tell me.
is to this committee is that when you write the proposal, which you're going to present to the select board,
Mhm.
that you restrict access to Jigger Hill Road, the access to Jigger Hill Road on both ends at this point in time.
Which I think is our current thing of that. I think we'll have to look at it. We're still trying to figure out the roads and all of that, but I think so. So Jigger
Right.
Hill, the
So that's
access
my recommendation.
to Jigger Hill.
Yeah, my understanding is that you're allowing ATVs to travel on class 3 roads, and as they approach these class 4 roads.
They're requesting access to the class 3 roads, but we can't allow anything.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
anything else, Stuart?
I don't think so, no.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming. Anybody else? I don't think we have anybody else on. Oh, Mike's here. Mike, any public comments? Just.
Can I make 2 public comments?
Oh, sure.
I mean,
Yes,
just
go
to
ahead.
represent
Yeah.
what I was trying to say, Pamela, there's 2 amazing historic sites up there that should be preserved. That's something I did speak to John Dunville about before as part of our historic things, and we'd be happy as a committee to be involved with that. And there should be, you know, whether there's gates before the access to get to them or whatever, but we would love to be involved with these two sites that are up there that should really be preserved before something did happen to them or they got sold and then just flattened. And then the other public comment, and I just wanted to throw this out just to say that, you know, I know a lot of different discussions, been while other towns don't have certain things, another neighboring town, the town of Bethel, has been approached by the Stockbridge Club. They're losing someone, different ownership of where the Stockbridge Club has always had their trailhead, is not allowing them to keep their trailhead there anymore. They're now moving the trailhead to somewhere else in Bethel, and they've requested to Bethel to get to their trailhead, or to put their trailhead in Bethel. The Bethel Select Board, as I understand and read their minutes, which I have a couple copies to show, they did approve the Stockbridge Club to come into Bethel for the purpose of the trailhead, and they've also they discussed having a potential route into Bethel, down Church Street, down Main Street to get to the gas station, and then back out Peavine to facilitate fuel and services as part of their network. So there is development in another neighboring town with that. And then we also are getting back our club. And when I say we are also getting back on working on Tunbridge, we've spoken to the North Tunbridge store. They support us, and part of the sensitive connection with them was whether we had to go up on 110 or not. They're all about letting us have a trail on their property. And so we're proceeding with our landowners, and I'm trying to get on the Tunbridge Select Board meeting agenda for June 14th. I've already messaged Mariah on that. So we can follow up with the requests that Tunbridge Select Board had of us. Just giving an update.
All right. All right, anything else? Why don't we move on to discuss the ATV survey and see if we can clarify some things with that. I thought maybe we could start with the motion. I asked, because I think Gidget and Tim made the
I
motion.
made the motion, Tim seconded it. My motion was, let's see, to approve the survey with the changes that we discussed and to post.
So,
I never heard the word proposed. Did you? No,
What
because
I
we
wrote in
talked
my
about the,
notes. I
we
don't
talked
know.
about the fact that we didn't know what you would use, considering that in order to protect Google Forms from being able to get repeated entries or repeated answers, then you had to have a Gmail address. And so that's where we left that. And we just approved the content.
So
That's the way I remember
at
it,
the
is
beginning-
we'll approve the content and then we'll, you know, continue to discuss the.
at the beginning of the meeting, I know that Sandy said we couldn't use
yeah, we can't.
Survey Monkey, that we had to use the Google Docs. So that
Well,
wasn't part of the.
Well, we don't, you're absolutely right. So let me clarify this. So what happened is, after the meeting, I sent an email to Victoria and I said, look, we're looking to do the survey. We'd like to do Survey Monkey, but it needs to be, they've changed the rules, and instead of being able to have unlimited surveys, you can only have 40, I think is what I told her. And if we want to do 1,000, it's $99. And so she said, so when she wrote me back, she said, I'd really, you know, we're always trying not to spend the taxpayers' dollars. And have you guys considered Google Forms? So I forwarded that email to Ian to see about Google Forms.
Why, what is with all the side conversations?
No, this was getting reimbursed for the
But
$99.
this was, I was part of that conversation too. And I don't remember hearing anything about that conversation.
I think that email was the week before. That was that email the week before.
Yeah, the week before. It wasn't this last
Well,
meeting.
then why is it, why are we talking about that? When we got to the, when we, at last week's meeting, I'm sorry, this is just,
Well, so at the
So
last
discouraging.
week's meeting, I said that they weren't gonna pay for the Survey Monkey, hence why we did Google Forms. That's why we went to Google Forms. Why did you think we did Google Forms? It's because Victoria said the townspeople, she would prefer we used a tool that was free versus paying.
So number one, I don't remember you actually telling us any of that. Number two, Ian and I had a conversation about the fact that Google Forms doesn't, you either, if you want to select, you can only enter one set of responses. You have to have a Gmail address. Not everybody has that. So the Google form as it's posted could literally, I could sit there and just go enter, enter, enter. I could answer as many times and with as many names as I want to. And I don't think that's necessarily the best way to go about it. And so we were going, when we agreed that we were going to look into another option, and we approved the content, which turned out to be a bit of a mistake anyway, but it's amazing to me that we could have such different takes on what
know.
happened.
Yeah, because, well, why would you think we went to Google Forms?
No, I understand why we went to Google Forms, but after that, but what I guess you didn't hear was I had researched Google Forms after I saw that that's what Ian was using and looked up the whole issue of what I've just said about how could you control it or not. And that's what we discussed last week. And so it was a total surprise to me and to Brad, and I imagine to others to hear, oh, this thing's posted. And not only not posted by the town or by Victoria, but by Ian on Facebook. And the whole thing just was a surprise
Yeah,
and a discouraging one.
Yeah.
It did not feel.
okay.
Anyway, I'll leave it.
Yeah,
So it
so-
sounds like we need to go back and, I mean, our meetings are recorded, so
Yeah,
we can find out exactly
yeah,
the
yeah.
the
Someone wants to
wording
go
of
back
it.
and watch them.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just
We have
saying,
gone back and
I,
listened to
I'm not
That's
saying
fine, yeah.
anybody is saying something I'm just saying, it seems like there's some confusion
yeah. I
as to
agree.
what was actually the motion. And I think that there's
And I
an
recall
easy way to figure that out. is
Ian
to-
saying that you worked on adding Pam as an administrator on the Google Forms.
And I did, and I thought we were clear, like, I'm like, okay, because I wrote down word for word, this is the question we're adding. And I'll post, but go ahead, Peter.
Well, I note some irony that the word survey does not appear in the agenda for that last week's meeting. And so I let the irony soak in a little bit that we spent the whole time on the most important issue we've got of something that just got brought up and wasn't on the agenda ever.
It got added in, but it's not in the minutes
Okay.
that
So,
we need
well, I
to
just
say
wanted
that.
to just say, if there had been any planning for this, we would have started by saying, where's the intro letter that covers and introduces this to the town population so that they can make an intelligent choice? We didn't have any of that. Ian said that he was frustrated by some of the operability of the software he's using. He understood that. That wasn't decided yet. There are all sorts of things that weren't decided. And we have to now, I believe, go back, just take a step back. And we don't need to do it this week. We can wait till next week if we have to. And we want a clean launch. And we just have to say to people, our townspeople, yeah, we screwed up a little bit. It's pretty complex and we're trying the best we can. But the whole crux of this matter is to get townspeople's opinion. And so
But if we don't get them soon, that's what we were trying to make the point, right?
we could ask for an extension, but yes, starting on the middle.
I'm not
the
going to
first
do
week
an
in June,
extension.
if you have 3 weeks
I'm not
to do
doing
it, that's just fine.
I'm not doing an extension.
I want to make a motion
Yeah,
to take the survey off the table due to time constraints.
I second that.
I agree.
What?
we have a motion made that what Gidget is saying, let's just not even do the survey then. Take it off the table because due to time constraints.
That's
It's eating
taking
up-
up the
it's
table,
eating
not
up
the
far
same
too
thing
much
as not
time.
doing it.
This is just, it's gonna waste our time. We're not getting anywhere. We're not getting anywhere here. We need to move forward.
All right, so we had a motion made and seconded under Robert's rules. We can have discussion about that. What did the other members think?
Well, since the select board refused to take any responsibility for doing this, and since Ian has provided no actual information for us, we're kind of in a bind, aren't we?
Excuse
You
me,
said there
Joe.
were 68 owners.
It is-
All right.
Yeah, it's
But
not
but you didn't give us anything firm, and how can we estimate this possibly? Without a survey. I mean, I know the surveys aren't perfect, but it's a lot more people than in this room.
I believe that conversation, Peter, was you asked Ian for an estimate of how many he thought
Yeah.
it might be.
Yeah.
An estimate is only an estimate.
Nasty. Well, let me just phrase it a little bit more. If we've got 2,750 people in town, I'm assuming that 750 of them are either too young, too old, or infirm to even get on an ATV, right? So it puts about 1,000 people.
We don't have,
Now, we're speculating,
2,000.
we're speculating.
yeah.
Well, okay, but there's about 2,000 people who could possibly be ATVs. Well, if you have 68 people, right, let's took that for a ballpark, you really want to put it out. And you add, let's say it's so popular in the first year, half again as many people sign up. So now you got 100 people who signed up and 2,000 people who haven't signed up. So 95% of the people don't have much to do with this. And it's your thing that this is fun for you. And you want us to participate, the 95% of us, to participate in making it fun for you. But you won't even talk about things like erosion and pollution and all that stuff. Oh, so you just skim past them, just blow right by them.
I'm gonna call a question.
So in any case, I think it's pretty amazing that we'd be bagging a survey here, just because it's that contentious.
There are so many false things you just said there. I have absolutely given attention to erosion. I like stormwater prevention, pollution.
Yeah, and the pollution from the trucks and stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. So, Bob, did you have? your-
I'm gonna motion that we take the survey off the table because it's going absolutely nowhere. And I'm sorry, Peter, but you're off the mark. You know, I raised the question with you
Because I do
back
not
at the first,
support any use
Peter,
of the-
back at the first meeting, you were asked to provide data about migration. You had none and you offered not to provide any. Okay? And you want to talk about stats and all that, provide data to the thing and not speculation. Okay? Look at the Automero, look at the development that potentially could go on there. That's going to do more harm than 5 months of ATV riding once a week or twice a week. So we've got until what do we have? 3 more weeks or 4 more weeks?
4 more weeks.
And, you know, you're blocking the survey to hold the thing up. I say, I agree with Gidget. We take it off the table and move forward because our job is to present, you know, an ordinance and that's it. Not to determine whether it's right or wrong. Simple. So that happened before town meeting, not now.
All right. Any other discussion? All right, so we have a motion made and seconded to remove, to do the survey before we complete the ordinance. All those in favor?
Aye.
Is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 opposed. 1, 2. Pam?
Abstain.
Abstain, so 1 abstention. Well, you're not a voting member, I'm sorry.
I assume that.
I'm sorry, but you're not a voting member. All right, so it looks like the ayes have it that we are going to not do the survey before we complete our ordinance and we can move forward from there. I know still though, you kind of like to know the size of the ATV club, is that right, Peter, for that we put
Might be
down?
helpful.
Yes. So can you help us
Um,
with that?
I would say probably our club at this point is approaching 25 to 30 members. As of a month ago, we had 14 signed up, and I know I've got another 9 or 10 that told me they just signed up in the last week or two. So while those numbers, there's a lot of you know, we're still getting established. The sign up process is through VASA. I've got a couple guys that are still joining, and that's where we're at now. I wouldn't want to really try to guess numbers because, you know, the rough arithmetic we tried to do based on the number of registered vehicles in the state and the number of residents, I don't think it represents what either one of us are trying to make as our points. I don't think it makes, you know, correct representation of the abundance of riders. I don't think it makes a correct
It's just a
representation of the
question about
minimalistic.
owners. It's just a question about, it's a question that is just a factual question, not a, how many ATVs are in.
Yeah,
And I will continue to say then, I would
Don't
say
know.
that on a max weekend, maybe you're gonna see 50 riders in town.
But
No,
your
I-
club said, you said you have. Sorry.
yeah, I get all the explanation and everything, but I think what we're asking for is just how many members are there currently in the Cascadnac Valley Wheelers Club? I mean, you're the head of it. So a membership total should be something that's kind of easily accessible.
I mean, this is the.
Not
whole
a
proposal to
projection
buy
of
the
like, oh,
wheels.
maybe there's some more, like how many are currently on your rolls?
People sign up through, so this is the tough part, people sign up through the VASA website. Then they give us the report monthly. Last month's report was, we had 14 signed up.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is, I think I've got another 10 that have told me that they've signed up in the last
No,
2 weeks.
that was the
I'll-
clarification that I
I'll get
needed, was
another-
that you get monthly reports from VASA, and but that information is not readily available. The current roster from the previous month's report that you have is 14.
Correct.
Is that, okay?
Anything else?
No, so down, we're now down around 0.5%, something like that.
Okay, shall we move on to maps and areas of interest and some roadways? Are you ready for that? Yeah.
I am, I got a couple big ones, but unfortunately I don't have color for large prints, and I've got small prints to hand out. Just gonna one sec. Everybody has different things that, what looks, what jumps out as.
We don't have to talk about these right now, but they are more than that discussion, so I'll go ahead and pass them around this way.
Bob, I sent you a copy of that.
There should be an extra one over there. Here. I'll share this with you.
Do you have enough? I have, there's some extra here. Okay, sure.
So my maps are all,
Okay, thank you.
like,
Trying to run out, and then of course.
On
I guess I am out of the ortho color
This one, like I could share with.
digit.
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
share
if you
with
could,
Yep.
appreciate it.
Can totally do that.
So I tried to combine a bunch of different stuff, and then with Matt making it becomes pretty time consuming and trying to get color to make sense. I do have other, so if we're looking at this map, and I'll just sit in with you for a sec.
Yeah, so which one are we?
So,
looking at first?
in talking about what the Barnard spur, which in this I've got as red. So again, it leaves from Royalton Village, what I did is I colored properties that we have verbal approvals in green to have trails on. I've colored what our primary proposed private trails in the orange. And I showed the alternates from Sewell Brook Road. It could be the Davis Road, Russo Road path, and or the Royalton Hill, Davis Hill Russo Road path in the southeast part of town. I've got some other maps. I just wasn't able to get them all set for the zoom in. So like the 3 circles I've got in the middle are like for specific zoom ins of the Royalton Village, I guess what you'd call North Royalton 107 Route 14 intersections, and then a zoom in of actual South Royalton Village. The mileages still pretty much match the old map. Nothing really has changed with that. And then I don't know, I was just trying to make something clearer that this way it's in CAD as we go forward, and I have all the town tax maps in it. So that way, as different properties come in and out of giving verbal approvals, I've got initial approval on the one in yellow. Unfortunately, it doesn't show the something. There's a potential trail we have coming off the one in yellow at the, call it the west end of Sewell Brook Road. And we're in initial discussions with them and their neighbors to get to Russo Road and completely avoid North Road. That's in progress.
I thought that last week you said the only thing that you were going for now was access to Barnard, and that this village access, you said that would be nice to have, but that's not the focus now.
I haven't, whenever I've said that, I haven't heard discussion from people saying, no, let's just keep it limited to one loop or one spur and one spur only. So that's why if you guys, if we discuss this as a collective, that.
No, and then Sandy and Gidget both said, no, it's what you are wanting is access to Barnard. We went back and looked at the directive that Victoria sent us in the.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
but the actual request, the directive to write an ordinance doesn't say with access to, what were the words? It doesn't say that it has to provide access to the Bassett corridor. It just says an ordinance. So it could be one that doesn't go to Barnard. I mean, I don't know. To me, this feels like it's a moving target. I can't, and I guess maybe that's by design, but what is it that you're seeking approval for?
Gidget.
I think maybe why you're thinking the way you do, because it is a work in progress for Ian and the club, because it takes time to go out and talk to neighbors and try to figure out what the best route is to create these trails. And that's why I've always thought, why don't we write the rest of the ordinance, and at the end, giving the club time near the end, then fill out that section of the ordinance of what we're going to open, because it's probably going to totally change next week of what he's talked to with landowners and everything. And he's trying, I think he's really in good faith, trying to find the best way to make, to address some of the issues we're all hearing.
I totally agree. And I think he's got a lot of work to do. I think he's been doing a lot of work. There's no doubt. That being said, I mean, that's kind of why I think we were done a little bit of a disservice by the select board by giving us such a short amount of time. Not only, I'm not even talking about, I obviously have my views on the subject, but also for Ian and his group, because if it, at the end of this, if the sort of narrative is that, yeah, they had this ATV committee, but they were only given 2 months and didn't really have time to get the input and do the studies and give the club time to get more access. I think it's more, it just makes it more likely that people are going to be disgruntled by the end result of all the work that we're putting in here.
Right. And we're
Just because it's not, And I agree. I don't want to ask for an extension. I really want
Oh,
my
no, no,
Wednesdays
I'm not-
and
Yeah,
every other day but the time, I get it. Like, that's what I think it's just, there's so much more work to be done. And
Before an ordinance.
for us to sort of like, well, let's write an ordinance first and then let the chips fall where they may.
But I don't think everybody thinks that way. I don't. And obviously the select board must not have. Why did they decide to do it like that?
I
Does
don't know.
anybody know?
I have no idea.
They didn't want to take the responsibility
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, I don't know why the time limit came to. That was never expressed to any of us of
I
why they
mean,
did
I
it.
think it was, the way he described it was
Who's
that,
he?
so, who was, I think it was Tim,
Oh,
at the select board meeting,
uh-huh.
was,
Oh, the day that he
this
elected.
is the time that I'm giving you. And basically, it was because this will last this long, this will last this long, then there's a possible recall, and then there's this. And in the end, it was so that possibly the ATV club would have a couple weeks at the end of this summer to get out, or at the end of the fall, or in the fall, to maybe get on some trails. To me, I think that doing all that so that maybe they get 2 weeks in the fall is, like I say, is that worth it? Like,
Probably is to them.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's probably worth it to the 185 people who wanted the ordinance. I mean, I don't know, but again, I can't second guess why the select board gave us the task in the short amount of time. I just know that's what we've been giving and.
yeah, and again, I mean, I get the fact that one more person voted for it, so they would probably like, a couple weeks this year, but I think in the long-term goal of trying to create something that's gonna last, like, I think that we would have been better off taking it a little bit slower, having meetings every 2 weeks, so we're not all so completely burnt out on it all the time.
Commissioning a study.
And really like doing it right and having something so that maybe next year, they would have this.
I don't know.
But again, that's neither here nor there. We were given.
So here's a question, why,
Could you tell her?
Well, Bob.
Sharon,
let's
hold on.
do
Can we-
Bob. Yeah.
can
Go
it
ahead,
be
Bob.
open? Do we have to actually, in the ordinance, designate specific roads? Or can it be written at this point that certain areas can be opened up, whether it's based on landowner permission or whatever, trying to access Barnard, and keep it kind of open-ended at this point without specifically identifying specific roads? Or does it have to be specific? However we write it.
In the ordinance, the ordinance that we're trying to write really doesn't say anything about specific roads.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, it
No,
does.
Why
does.
should it?
It does.
I think I think you
it's-
probably do it how you want. There is
Yeah.
a section in there.
Yeah,
Okay.
The
well,
one that you're looking at, that's fully baked from Newport, yeah, of course it does, but we're not in that, you've acknowledged we're not there yet, so.
But I think that's what,
Bob's suggestion is so much more, makes so much more sense.
yeah,
In
but
terms of, there are certain things that have to happen well before anything can be triggered in terms of a open road.
I don't think we're gonna be able to, I think the club can ask for roads,
yes.
but I think they're gonna have to go ask the select board. I don't think we're gonna.
Oh, no,
decide,
that's
or-
right.
And for us to even, I mean, we need to write the ordinance on the rules of the road.
Yeah,
The roads are gonna be, I mean, that's how
And
the other
also-
clubs operate. We go and then go to the town and say, we've got this, we want this, or whatever, and they either say yes or no, and they either agree or they don't.
right.
And rather than us trying to fight over the roads where they're gonna be right now, I think we should get on to the ordinance. And let's get some of the rules so that we can agree on a set of rules. And then if we have time at the end, let's come back and look at,
Yeah.
maybe we can say we would like this specific. We suggest, well, the club would like this set of roads opened, and the committee I don't think it's gonna matter whether the committee agrees or not on that. I think the select board's gonna do what they're gonna do.
Did you?
And Brad, you mentioned that, we haven't gained enough feedback. I feel like I've heard so much feedback against it to know enough of what people are looking for. We got to write an ordinance of how to address some of those issues. That's not going to take away. Our job isn't not to write one. It is to write one. And I
Oh,
think
yeah.
I've heard tons of feedback.
Wait, when did I say that?
I thought you said that, we should take more time, get more feedback, have more
Well,
input.
no, I do think that feedback is good. But I was saying, I mean, if we're just admitting that the select board's gonna do whatever they want and what we're writing is pretty much a recommendation. And the roads, like, it doesn't matter what roads we pick because they're gonna do what they're gonna, then really, what are we doing? I mean,
We're supposed to write an ordinance. That's
Right.
really, we're supposed to write the rules for the road.
According to
And
Victoria's
include all the
notes,
Specific
Well,
locations
yeah.
that want to be used.
according to
Yeah.
Victoria's notes that she sent to all of us this week, the objective of the ATV ordinance committee is to draft an ordinance following the ordinance template. And the committee should
totally
focus
get that.
on the roads and time,
Exactly.
everything.
no, but I'm sorry, I totally get that.
Speed
I
limit,
was just a little
seasonality,
confused
the whole bit.
when we just started talking about, well, maybe we shouldn't focus on the roads. Isn't that what the discussion just went to?
No, I just said, when we were talking about this, because Pam commented on something that she just feels like nothing's set in stone, because it seems like it's always changing when Ian presents. And I addressed that, well, it's hard because he's trying to get landowner permission, so it does change frequently. And that's why I thought that we should work on the draft of the ordinance and then work on the roads at the end. So we could get most of the ordinance written and give Ian time to keep working out landowner permissions.
Okay, so Ian
No,
and then
go Peter first.
Peter.
No, that's okay.
Okay. Ian,
I'm not trying to change this map. I listened to what we discussed last week and there was discussion, you wanted to see what alternate path B was gonna be. And I've started doing the mileage, what alternate path C was. And when I didn't hear a lot of saying that, no, let's not worry about, let's not have the village spur, let's focus solely on the Barnard spur. Because we got into a lot of discussion last week about the club trying to research. And the reason why I showed this different group in pink to come from the corner of the Otto Merrill Road, potentially through Johnson Hill and Davis Road. These are three different landowners that, based on the discussions we were having, I was trying to show it on paper that what these are the folks that we need to get permission from if we're going to try to get through the woods. And trust me, I spent a lot of time just trying to get this map to this point. But and then the only reason I say that is because then I'm questioning myself, like, if we're just going to talk about the Barnard Spur, then let's just talk about the Barnard Spur. If no one wants me to do the village spur, then let's just have that said. We have a lot of time to invest with the club outside of this, prove that we can get, we can behave ourselves on this Barnard Spur. And then we can go back and work on these landowners that may be here and there and in between. Most other towns, when they do, like, let's use Williamstown, for example, when they did their first ordinance that they approved, they did just have roads only. Their goal was to, hey, go get private trails. They haven't really been successful with getting private trails yet. They got a couple of their roads taken away from them because some of the folks, abused those. This, from what I've read and understand and following their group, but they still have a club that's active, that's using some of the roads responsibly. Yeah, every week, whether I should say it or not, I'm be honest. I'd rather be transparent. And every week they say, hey, we've got a report that someone drove down Main Street. Like, guys, you're not supposed to be doing that. If we have the opportunity to, not just with our group, show them legally where we can ride, give them a place to ride. So it's not like, oh, I saw an ATV over here on Russ Hill Road. Well, then now if we have an ordinance that says, okay, no ATVs on Russ Hill, we have something that Loretta can enforce. And she has fines to go back against. But we've also given people a place to ride these legal motor vehicles that can connect out of town and following our objective, that is part of it. And if we can just, if that's what the group says, that let's just start with the Barnard Spur only, then let's focus on the Barnard Spur only. And then
What
I think
objective
that
is that?
stuff is gonna be up to the club. I think you guys, the guys in the club, that part of it is gonna be up to you, and you're gonna have to convince the select board. When it gets all done and said here, you're gonna have to go to the select board, and regardless of what this committee says. You're gonna have to go to the select board and ask them, say, we've got this here, can we get this set of roads? I mean, this committee can't, we really can't do much with that. I don't see how we can.
And the reason I guess I kept the auto mural, the village spur in, is because then I have some people that come to me and say, well, if you're not gonna do the village spur, then why are we doing this anyways, to try to benefit the businesses? Because if you're not gonna get to the village, then you're purely are just parking here and you're riding out of town.
Yeah.
And so I'm really was trying to balance, what would look okay in a trial model. And I think that, whether we want to move on to more of the rules and the,
Well, we need to get
verbiage
that,
of
that's
the
the part we
ordinance.
need to get done. We have to get those rules written. The sooner we get the rules written and agree on that, then I think we come back to the maps and let's say these class 3 or class 4 roads, we'd like these class 4 roads. And the committee can agree or disagree or whatever, and make a recommendation to the select board maybe on that. And these class 3 road sections, but if we write the rules that are comprehensive for the class 3 roads, if that's what we should be doing, I think that we're doing our job. We're doing our job. You're gonna have a lot of work. I mean, the club is gonna have a lot of work to do with the board. But first off, we've got to see what they accept for the rules of the road. I mean, they may not even, who knows where that's going to go.
Brad,
So I think maybe as we set the agenda for next week,
yes,
we do allow some time for some road discussion, but let's go ahead and get some of those rules knocked
on the
out.
ordinance.
Let's like things like time, dates. Because, I've got some other ideas about stuff like that, as
Okay.
far as,
So-
for the first year, does it have to be from this date to this date? Or can it be, let's pick 8 Saturdays and open them up on those days to see how it goes, like something like that. Anyway, I'm discussing it, what I think we should discuss some next week.
Okay.
But I do think that we did allot some time for discussion of routes today.
Yes.
So
Well, wait, let's not lose that thought. So is everybody okay that I'm gonna put on the agenda for next week that we're gonna start the writing of the ordinance? I had asked Gidget if she could be our scribe. Can you bring your laptop next week?
Yep.
And then we did discuss about looking at the VLCT model as our guide of our template, because they have the statutes and everything. So Gidget, if you could begin that. And then everybody should have a copy of that in their packet that was given to us in the beginning in our red folder. So I don't think you should need a copy of it.
I never received one.
Oh, you didn't get one?
I never saw a red folder.
You never got one?
First day, we got those.
Yeah.
I weren't here the first day.
Oh.
The-
It was-
that's just one more.
It was when we were.
I was
going-
zooming,
Yeah.
sorry.
Do you want me to have Victoria make you, Tim, you and Peter a
I'd like to know.
packet?
Might as well be.
If I'm
Okay.
missing information, yes.
Yeah,
please.
because it had like we'll have the deliverable and all that stuff in it. So I'll have Victoria, can you guys come by and pick it up like next week or something?
Sure.
Or
No,
the
she
end of this
probably-
week, I should say. All right, I'll ask her to make a packet for you, Peter, and a packet for you. And let me know if Rick didn't get one.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
He was the first meeting on the TV screen, so I don't know.
Okay.
So I'll ask Victoria to make 3 just to be sure. All right, so to clarify, that's what we're going to do for the next meeting. We're going to work on the ordinance. Gidget's going to bring her laptop and we're going to use the VLCT model. But, all right, so let's go on with, we
So
did
I'm
set
just gonna
aside
pass
time.
these around. This is just sort of the correspondence that both Ian's club and the other club have had with Barnard. And basically it just,
Yeah.
I don't think on paper or anything, like there's any sort of. I mean, we're sort of focusing all this energy on, hey, let's get to this spot in Barnard,
Mhm.
but I don't. There wasn't a request made by the Stockbridge Club, we call them that, Central Vermont Quad Runners.
Mhm.
In their most recent request for roads, which was just a month ago, after, I think we were already meeting, so I was kind of surprised, why wouldn't they go ahead and ask for that? Ian has said that he has sort of, I don't know what the nature of the discussions with Barnard have been, because like here in the minutes, it says that nothing specific was really discussed. Anyway, the only reason I'm saying that is because it does seem like we're putting a whole lot of effort into trying to get to one spot in Barnard. And it's possible, like Gidget said, this is all evolving kind of quickly. Now we have some roads in Bethel. And maybe it makes sense to focus our efforts on connecting to roads in Bethel.
No, they're all on the other side of town.
They're on the side of
They're
the
on, they're
river.
on the upper side. They're on the Rochester side.
Right.
Bethel, Rochester Mountain, all through there. That's where the trails go.
I thought they were coming right into town and using.
Well, they may
Peabody.
access down into town, but their trails, well, that's because there used to be a trailhead on the dump road, the old dump road, you go out across the bridge there and then turn right and go up back, comes back down in town. Well, there used to be a trailhead. We had a trailhead up there. And then we had one up on Rochester Mountain before you tip over the hill up on Everett Lyons land. So
So,
those trailheads are gone now.
yeah, actually the Bethel, the minutes from this last Bethel Select Board meeting just says that there was a preliminary idea presented to go to town via Sand Hill, Church Street, Main Street, and back to the trails via Peavine. That route would make it so they'd never have to cross traffic. Chris suggested they put a proposal together and bring it to the board for a future discussion. So that was not even
That's because Bethel
Then
doesn't
they-
have.
discussed. I thought that the way that you put it was like they
Well,
had.
no, there was a motion. So if you read the rest of those minutes, it says so-and-so made a motion, so-and-so seconded, so
No.
voted.
No,
So
the
it's- so
motion, no,
that's
actually, the
really-
motion was to authorize you permission to use the roads outlined on the map currently on file at the town office, which is
Which,
different from the proposal involving Sand Hill and Church Street.
no,
right?
so they're not, yeah, they're not asking, that's still a proposal. What they asked for was the access to the trailhead, which is up in the hills.
Right.
So they're making a proposal to get to the center of town.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that because I don't think that was clear.
Well, Vasa doesn't, there are no Vasa trails in Bethel. There is a trail system that we have used for a long time and we have landowner permissions, except in a couple of spots. And without those couple of spots, you cannot get a Vasa trail through. I mean, we don't want a Vasa trail that goes nowhere, just and stop. That doesn't work for anybody.
So, okay, forget about Bethel then.
Yeah,
What is the nature of the agreement with Barnard right now? Because I happen to know people that live in Barnard on a route that they weren't aware of was being discussed. And like their select board says that no specific ideas have been discussed, but we're like shooting for this line, like this is where we need to go. So I'm just trying to figure out like,
well, Central Vermont Quad Runners will connect up with Royalton if Royalton gets a trail system through to them.
What,
And then we will work with Barnard and he will work with Barnard
what,
to connect those trails, but Royalton has to get a start. There is nothing here.
and it's going back, and whether you want to watch recordings or not, I've said this multiple times. When we first started putting our proposal together, but when I met with the town of Barnard in September, we were discussing East Barnard. They said, no, it's way too much back roads of Barnard for us to meander to get our way up and over through down to Perry Roads, cross 12 and get up into Chattagee that way. What they said, what they directed me to was, if we can get ourselves to a point of Russo Road. Now, unfortunately, yeah, there's no detail in this.
And who is they? This is the select
This is
board?
Rock Webster. This was at the time former member Steve Johnson or Tim Johnson. And I always forget the other guy's name. Rob Tracy, no,
Bob Edmonds.
Bob Edmonds. Yeah, right there. Bob Edmonds was the third member. So they were in consent that if we can get to here, you're a lot shorter run up into the Stockbridge area. Our group then we went to one of the Central Vermont Quad Runner Stockbridge Club meetings. We discussed with them. What we discussed was that if our club took responsibility of Rhodes Hill, Route 12, and Masterson Road in Barnard, they would take responsibility of Old Mount Hunger to get from the Morgan's Corners intersection to Masterson Road.
Okay, but so you had a discussion about specific roads with the select board from Barnard, but that was not during this
That was,
meeting?
no, that was this meeting. That is when they directed me to get to Russo Rhodes Hill.
Okay, so I guess I'm just confused by
it-
what they wrote in their minutes, because it actually says, as the plan was conceptual in nature with no specifics.
Because everything that I brought to them, I was showing them how we could meander all these different class 4s through East Barnard. And then
Oh, this is October, not September. Did you go twice?
October, sorry,
Okay.
October 20th.
I guess that's what I'm confused about. It's just that, like,
Well, it is a concept. This whole thing we're doing is a concept. This is conceptual. I mean, it isn't until we write something and firm and the select board approves it. It's just a concept.
okay,
And that's what we're doing. We're trying to conceptualize a trail system.
And I get it. There's a lot of cart before horse. And I get it. It's if
In Barnard, they don't do it by ordinance, right?
they don't.
They get a
They're
request,
select.
they approve it, right?
But
And so to me, that seems like that would be the one you would want to make sure you got first. If you've got that, that's the easiest one to get. You get that, then you have it, and then you've got something to connect to. But to start with getting an ordinance in Royalton just doesn't,
That's where you gotta be.
that's the hard part first.
Yeah,
Well, of course, you
it
need
is the hard
both
part.
ends, right?
You gotta.
But why would you go through the hard part first if you don't know that you're gonna be able to get through the Barnard? When I say easy, I mean it's governmentally, legislatively easier, right? It's just, they just have to say, yeah, let's do it, as opposed to going through all this
Well,
nonsense.
Which is exactly why Barnard said, if you can get to here, we'll give you this, because why would they, and same, aspect, why would they give
They
us
said-
this?
You just said, they said, if you can get to this, we'll give you this,
Yeah,
really?
that's what, and then that's the wording. In the select board indicate they would be amenable to considering approvals in the future if Ian
Nope, that's
returns.
not what that says.
Well, then,
Amenable
I'm
to
sorry, then
considering
explain.
Means we'll take your application and we'll discuss it. It doesn't mean
Sure.
we'll give it to you.
Of course it's not.
Well, you
Of course
just
that's
said
what-
we'll give it to you.
Well, that's about as close as you're gonna
These
get
things
with
matter.
the board.
These things matter. They'll
Of course.
they're amenable to considering any
You need to-
application.
yeah, I agree. I'm just saying that I think that at some point, the Barnard Select Board might actually hear from some Barnard residents who aren't very happy that they would be considering something from a Royalton ATV club without consulting them first. So that,
Noted.
Okay. Anything else on the maps?
I brought a map. Does anybody have any comments on it? It's got
Which
some,
one is that?
it's got some things down at the bottom that sort of describe why this might be preferable to the current sub proposal. If you can see, the little red dot down there is the trailhead.
In the middle there?
Yeah, that's more or less where
Okay, yeah, I see
the
that.
trailhead is.
Okay,
So yeah, what this route would do, it would reduce the town road single lane bridge crossings from 2 to 1. Basically eliminating the box stand bridge. It would reduce distance of paved road travel from 2.43 miles to only 0.35 miles, avoiding traffic heavy Route 14 and reducing traffic on North Road from 0.6 miles to just a crossing. I mean, you guys can read. I don't need to read this stuff out loud.
What road is the green?
So basically, it's showing Johnson Hill. So come up back side of the river, turn on Johnson Hill, follow Johnson Hill up to Russo Road or Davis Hill,
To Davis.
then from Davis to Russo. It's a fun, Davis is a funny way it's laid out.
This is really Davis. I don't know. if they call
Yeah,
this-
Davis is technically this.
Yeah. so-
Russo
And in the
starts
middle,
here.
I realized that the Vast Trail and the Vassar Trail, some people may be okay with snowmobile. So just because this Vast Trail is there, but there is an existing trail that basically goes from the bottom of Johnson Hill all the way up to the top of the Johnson Hill. That's pretty much through the woods the entire way. That would be an area of interest. I think that Dave said he maybe knew some of the property owners
Yeah.
that
I know.
that own some of that.
Yep.
Anyway, we had just, at the last meeting, said we would discuss some
Yeah.
alternate areas.
Did.
And again, I've mentioned my concerns about Sewellbrook Road, the class 3 section being just a steep, and it's basically just one blind curve after another for the majority of it. Once you get up to the top, if you're talking 50 machines on a day going 2 ways, that's 100%, which is, or 100 trips back and forth, which is more or less a 2,000% increase in what traffic on a normal day is up there right now. Also, that class 4 section contains highly technical terrain, especially in just a few sections. I'm not saying the entire thing is like that. That would be difficult and dangerous for inexperienced ATV riders, and it's not wide enough to accommodate 2-way vehicular traffic. And in some of those sections where it's not wide enough, there's really nothing that you could do trail maintenance wise to make it passable like that.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah,
You could still access your private trail network over near the old Edens. You wouldn't have to drive on Route 14, which it's my understanding that's not even something the town can approve. You're still in the process of waiting for that. So again, like sort of, we're making a bunch of assumptions here with our route planning. Anyway, you could still access Village Pizza, Roma's Butcher Shop. You might have to walk just a little bit and cross the road, but actually the parking area for Roma's is already on the other side of the road. So anyway, that's my contribution to our map discussion for the evening.
all valid points.
Mhm.
Okay, well, let's,
And it might occasion another visit to the select board.
Yeah, I just checked. Their meetings are first and third Wednesdays at 7 PM.
no sense of going to the select board until you get something through. You gotta get the Rutland Select Board
Who among,
on board first. There's no sense of going any further on that.
okay, who among here has actually driven on and or walked on, well, let's start with the roads that are class 3 or 4 or class 3. Who's driven on all the roads that are in these proposals in the last 6 months? Well, or even since we started, but I'll give it 6 months. One.
On which road?
I drive
The
Royalton
roads that
Hill
are in
every
this
day.
proposal. So the Sewell Brook being one that's so contentious, anybody come to visit it?
You just said class 3.
No, I've not gone
No,
to
Sewell
visit
Brook is class 3 until-
Sewell, at least down to that point. I've been to the McCulloughs and to beyond where it
That's
goes to
on the
class
other
4,
side.
but
But on the side that we've been saying week in and week out, this is a dangerous road, this is a dangerous road, this is a dangerous road. Okay, so thank you, but nobody else on this committee has even bothered to go there, and I feel like, what are we doing if we're not actually going to look at these trails? And that includes the Watusi Trail and it includes the Otter Merrill Trail, if we're not gonna bother looking at it.
So is there a
It's-
place we can park? Because Sandy and I talked about it, and I said, I'm not putting my car through there and I don't know where to park.
You can park
Park
at
at
our
our
house.
place,
So,
you can even bring your ATV up there, and that works for us just fine. But I feel like, I guarantee you that if I asked the members of the select board, they say the same thing, oh, I haven't been up there. Like, come on, what are we doing if we don't even know what it looks like? We have to go put eyes on it. Right? Is that fair?
it's fair.
sure.
So when are we gonna do that?
And when they ding chang all over the mountain, yeah.
Well, does it make sense to, I know like we want to have the Zoom capabilities, does it make sense to have a meeting there? And, or I don't know, just as open discussion.
If anybody wants to come up on Saturday or Sunday, we'll walk up Watusi with you, we'll go to Otter Merrill and walk that. I mean, it's not, or you wanna ride it, I don't care.
I can't Sunday.
I think that's what she's saying is it's just kind of like, we're still talking about these things.
Mhm.
And 3 weeks ago, I brought up like the same things that I'm outlining here, like it's very valid safety issues. I mean, I've had, some of you guys even agreed with me, like the people that have been there recently were like, oh yeah, there is that sketchy curve there and another one up there. And so now it's, and at the end of that, I said, you know, anybody that wants to can please come up, like, look at it. I'm not making this up. And nobody's done it, which is fine. We're all busy, but I also don't feel like those concerns have been addressed. It's all just sort of like, you know, there's been a lot of sort of false equivalencies and whataboutisms, like, well, you know, the traffic, what if your neighbor's trying to trailer his excavator down the road? That's an inconvenience, this and that. It's like, what does that have to do with anything that we're doing right now? Like, we're talking about adding a significant amount of traffic. Yes, the numbers are speculation at this point, but there are safety issues, and I think that I can sit there and describe it. I mean, I don't consider myself an expert on much, but as far as the road that I live on and where it extends up past, I know it pretty well. So will consider myself an expert on that area.
Can I comment?
Yep.
As a committee for this ordinance, I don't see where we really can, your concerns, but as a club member, I can tell you for a fact, this weekend, I talked to 3 landowners to get away from Sewell Brook. This is club. What you are requesting is more from the club than this committee, as far as I'm concerned. You asked for alternative routes.
Yep.
And Ian can vouch that the last club meeting we had, we looked at considerable alternative routes that we felt would be safe for the travel. Well, you got Johnson Hill. Johnson Hill definitely gets more traffic than the Sewell Brook does, by far. Yeah, it's an easy route for anybody, but it's also more vehicular traffic. So, and to put it all the way out through with a 4-corner at the top of Johnson, where it connects over toward Davis Road, even vehicles have accidents right there. So, but I can tell you that we have tried, if you know where Ronnie Johnson's property was, it's off from Davis Road. There is, Dave mentioned it last meeting, or as we were closing, that there's a log road that goes up there. That's away from Sewell Brook. I talked to an adjoining landowner, Dylan McCullough.
Mhm.
He even volunteered some equipment that he's got to get us up through there, away from Soulbrook. I talked to Dennis Ives to get us off from North Road, who connects to Mastines and Dillon's and one of the other McCulloughs to get it away from Soulbrook. So for you to make the comment that we're not addressing it, it's not a committee address. You make your comments that you don't want Soulbrook. That's taken. That point is taken. But as a club, I think the club is doing a lot for your request. Peter, the same with you.
Yeah.
We were looking about the migratory and all of that. And it
That's
was
good to know.
discussed at the meeting.
That is good. that
Well, I want you
feels-
guys to know
Yeah.
that as the club, I'm speaking as a club member now, not the committee.
I get that.
Because I can see the agendas you have, the one that Peter's got, and the one that Rick's got, and Mr. Ketchum, thanks for coming. And it's an agenda that is not, the town voted for this ordinance. We have to discuss which roads would benefit everybody. And you don't like the Automobile Road because that's migratory. They're gonna develop that very shortly. And you can say what you want, but I'll guarantee you, I'm surprised there aren't more houses in there now. And it's as Bob said, with your presentation, I respect that, but I'm not sure what you proved. Because as far as the migratory coming down, and it's like, one of the things that you posted was it was tested, but it was surveyed back in the 70s. I'm pretty sure that or some copy of. If I'm mistaken, then I apologize.
That's for Tico's thing.
Or was it? Okay, it was Tico's thing. And it was like, how is that relevant till now? With as many houses and developments and everything else, I couldn't see it, but I respected everybody's presentation and whatnot. Brad, I do consider, I know the spot you're talking on, Soulbrook. It's the drop off. Everybody used to climb to the uphill side of the Jeeps when we went out through there. I'm sure it's washed even more now. But correct me if I'm wrong, but have you not had rangers come through there on occasion? Meaning a side by side, but it's a utility vehicle. More than just
Sure.
motorcycle. How are they getting through?
No, I'm not saying that it's not possible to get through. I'm saying making it the lone connecting route from Royalton to Barnard is a bad idea, because then you've got, that's everybody. That's not the people that live around there that are coming through on the Rangers who know the road well.
Okay,
And so that's my point. It's not.
but what I'm looking at is Ian's initial presentation as far as getting a start, getting a route. And he looked at what would be probably the best route over closest toward that, without using as much town roads.
Oh, yeah, I totally get that. The
And with
goal,
your route, and I agree, yeah, simple would be Johnson Hill, no doubt about it. And because you can't go to the backside and go out through the horse farm.
No.
And then pop right up through and go to Davis Road and up and over. So, yeah, yours is easier.
well, I think
But
at the
How many of
start,
the
why not go easy?
homeowners out through there are going to be excited about?
Well, I don't know, it passed by one vote, so aren't we supposed to assume that?
So we
Majority
can
wins.
present, we're talking about roads.
4-day
We
quarantine.
could turn around and present Sewell as one and also Johnson Hill as another. And let the selectmen take that course.
I think I know what they would do.
They're gonna do what they wanna do.
Yeah, and but that's what we basically have to do. We can do one route, here's an alternate route, here's another alternate route.
And that's fine, as long as
And
the
that would
select
give the
board is
selectmen-
aware of my
We can do the
concerns, and
ordinance.
they've got it right here. They can,
Yeah.
you know, if they ignore the safety concerns, then that's on the record. And if something happens, then, you know,
They could get sued
well,
as individuals.
anyway,
No, not as individuals.
I had my concerns, and I totally appreciate the fact that the club is listening to concerns and working on addressing them. I'm not privy to what the club is doing, so when I say that I don't feel that the concerns have been addressed. I'm referring to what's happening in the committee, because in the end, yes, the club is working on these routes. We as a committee are supposed to come up with the roads, and so
Ian has discussed the roads, but every time he brings up a road, it seems like one side's against it. The other side, as me, I told you right off, I'm gonna be neutral, even as a club member. Do I want anything? Yeah, I do. But I too want the best route that is for everybody.
Yep.
You're not gonna please everybody. If you have a beer festival and you got a whiskey drinker, he's not gonna be happy. So, yeah, exactly. It's, so, again, we discussed it earlier, I think we need to move on as far as everybody knows what roads is what. So we need an alternate route and 2 or 3 choices for the selectmen to take care of.
Just out of curiosity, how far is it from the trailhead over to Barnard? How long a trip is that?
Well, we don't know because we don't know what roads we
Let's just
take.
pretend it's the one that Ian had picked before.
I bet maximum you're probably, if, correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, you know that over in the Barnard way, but I bet you're probably talking 8 or 10 miles.
And how
Probably
many
not
hours-
even that through, if you're taking all roads.
How many hours is that?
Half an hour.
To get over there, about a half an hour. you know?
Yeah, you're talking, if you're going through the woods, you're talking 15 miles an hour.
Uh-huh.
If you're on the roads, speed limit's 25, they're gonna do 25.
Right. Well, I know, I just was wondering how ballpark of how long it would take to actually get from.
I enjoy the scenery.
Huh?
I enjoy the scenery.
Uh-huh.
I seriously do. And it's,
Most AVDVers don't want to be on the road.
We were in Washington. We rode 60 miles the other day. It took 6 hours, 10 miles an hour is what we averaged. And that's,
That's like going the speed of a bicycle.
it,
Yeah.
I mean, and
in God's honest truth, as I said, I ride up north a lot and they have rentals up there. And those are the people that are from, most of them are from Mass and Connecticut, proven fact. They have no respect and it's 21 to 25-year-olds. And they're challenging each other and whatnot. And that's, I've yet, the couple times I rode over Stockbridge and whatnot last year. Never had nobody. And you see them through the woods. I ride a lot in Newport, Derby, Island Pond, even in North Stratford, Colebrook, Pittsburgh. Never had any issues. Jericho and that area where they're right down at the main trailhead. That's where you have your issues. We don't have that. And as far as you've, almost every meeting, you've come up with that 68 figure. And as soon as Ian come out with that figure, it's like, what the hell's the matter? Because there is nothing to attract anybody here. There really isn't. And if you could, wanna go for a ride? You wanna go for a ride? I'll take you for a ride. And I, even on an established trail system right now. And I will guarantee you, I can ride up north, a lot bigger country than this. And I bet we don't see 10 rigs in a day. And I'm going with them. You park, you may see a few go by. You might see 10 in a line. But you don't see anybody out of control and whatnot. They're putt. And as far as the erosion and whatnot, you don't want to see my vehicle. I've got UTV swampers on it. Why? Because I just come back from West Virginia and it's all shale out there. And I didn't want to have a flat tire and slice my tires. So I went with a deeper tread so the rocks wouldn't penetrate so bad. It may sound stupid, but I didn't have a flat tire, but we were changing tires. That's the reason I went with that. And it's, the other ones are in the cellar. That's where my buggy is now. They will get swapped out because I'm back from there. But that's me personally. But I just, some of the points that we're taking, it's like we're just not going anywhere. But thanks for listening. That's all I got to say.
Any other comments on the map? Because we're right at our 8 o'clock hour.
I have one other agenda request for next week. If we could invite Demi Bowles as the highway foreman.
Okay.
Is anybody,
Who is he?
Demi Bowles, the
Road
highway
foreman.
road foreman for Royalton.
Jim.
Okay,
Does
Sure.
anybody,
I have his number.
what do
We
you-
have, we also have, the planning commission is presenting
That's
next week,
correct
right?
too, that's right. And I know we did discuss about giving them some roads, so I think, because they were wanting to have some of that information. I don't know if you want, do we want to give them copies of Brad's maps and Ian's maps?
I think that'd be a great idea.
Okay,
Because
yeah,
what
they kind of,
their meeting will be after ours.
their meetings before
the
ours.
meeting's
On
Tuesday.
Okay.
And then that way, because they said, we really can't comment or talk about it unless you kind of tell us the roads that you're looking at doing. Same with Tico as well, with the planning, I mean, with the
He
conservation
was concerned
committee.
about, he wanted to know about private trails.
Oh, the private trails,
It's, yeah, in class fours, but not the class threes, that wasn't.
that wasn't something for him.
But
Okay,
I mean, yeah, if we have planning commission and Demi, that'll just reduce the amount of time we have to talk amongst ourselves, which is probably not a bad thing.
I don't know about you, by Jenny.
all right, so I can ask Victoria if she can, or I don't know how to get them. Can you guys make copies of these maps?
I'll send you a PDF of this,
Okay,
the
that would be-
overall with the, and, you know, sometimes they don't like the blurriness, so I did have it one way without. And unfortunately, this, I don't have a large color one, but I'll send both.
Okay,
of
that
the
would be
overalls.
good, and then I can get it
And
to
then
Stuart.
get
And do you
yours.
want to send it to me for that too?
Just, yeah, you need a PDF.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'll just, and then I'll send it to Stuart. Okay, Stuart Lavasser, the planning commission. They're looking at the roads next, our roads alternate routes at their next
I've been
meeting, so
following
that they can, yeah. Are you on that committee?
No,
Oh.
my name is Stuart.
Okay. All right, so, right, I forgot about the plan commission coming for that date as well, too, so I'll be sure to add them on. And then I'll see if Demi can come,
oh boy.
and I'll ask
this is already-
Victoria for more packets, and then I was thinking, I don't know if the survey's out there yet, but let's to clarify that we probably should pull those from wherever they went.
Yep.
Because I don't know where they're all at or sent to, but let's pull all those back. Okay, I just want to clarify that. All
I
right,
have one comment.
Yes.
Question, actually. Since it appears there is not going to be a survey that this committee is going to do.
at this time, you're right.
Then is there a way for public opinion to get expressed about this issue? And then part two, is that public opinion that's going to be expressed directly to the select board? Or what?
Yeah, I think that's a good place to go to the select board. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, we talked about that, and Victoria said they would come to her. I'm kind of surprised that
Yeah.
we've only had one email passed on from her.
That's the only one I have.
Yeah.
It is, and the only one I wrote her to say about, is there a way to get reimbursed for $99 for Ian? And that was the only other contact I've had with her.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's supposed to happen. Send an email to Victoria,
Yeah.
and then she will pass it on
To the select board.
well, to us also.
Oh, you mean like a letter of just recognizing an issue? Like we've had an anonymous person send a letter to the select board that then got passed on and put
Yeah,
on.
like
you're
anything
saying.
that goes to the select board
Yeah.
that is related to our work, I
Right.
think is supposed to be passed along to us so we can see it.
Correct.
And then also, we have time for public comments at the beginning of every meeting.
Yeah.
They can come in person or log in on the
Zoom
Zoom, and we'll recognize and listen to them.
and have a.
But if they want to be anonymous, I think the best way is to send that to the select board.
And I mean, several people tonight said the select board's going to do what they want. So it sounds like they should get public opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They should get public opinion. Okay, so let's go and try to approve some of our minutes. Let's do that. Let's start with the May 11th one. And I just had a couple like verbiage edits. I'll wait till you're ready, Pamela. You let me know.
Okay, I'll make corrections, but it's just like word choices at some point.
Yeah, no, this is, mine's
Okay.
on that. Well, I might have like something I just wanted to add that I thought maybe got missed and we can just talk about. So under public comments,
Mhm.
on 11, on the very last line, it should be addressed with the select board and I'm
thank
just
you.
wordsmithing. And then under law enforcement discussion on the third paragraph part that starts with Chief Stallmaker, I thought it might be good to just say, explain to the committee that the club members cannot enforce law or state, just not the club itself, but the members of that club. I mean, anyway, I just thought it might be good to clarify that.
No vigilantes.
Yeah, it's not the
Well, I
club.
mean, but that's how, that was part of that was mentioned in the proposal, was like, oh, well, we can police, we can participate with helping law enforcement, when in fact, that's not how it.
No, that's
It
exactly
works.
right, but I was saying just to say, explain to the committee that club members cannot enforce law.
Okay.
It's all correct. It's all correct. And then under map discussion in the second paragraph, Ian explained that the roads in area of interest two are
No
no
longer.
longer, just no longer.
Thank you.
Yep. That's all my comments for May 11th. Anybody got any other?
Yeah, one thing there.
I don't know about.
Where Chief Stallmaker
Sorry.
said ATV snowmobile crossings are different. They only briefly or access public roads to connect.
That is
trails.
what she said.
That is what she said. And I
Yes.
agree with you. It is what she said, but you all know that they run Royalton Hill
Yeah,
on the road
yeah.
For a
Because they
section-
don't.
For a section.
for a section. That's right.
Yeah.
Up the hill section. That's a,
Oh, yeah.
that's a,
It's,
okay.
I've had them race me up there in the morning.
Have you?
Go out there, 'cause they kind of like spit out onto the road and then they're on it. And then they're trying to get up where they
Yeah.
cut back off of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just have
Awesome.
two small things. Under the map discussion, the second paragraph. Second sentence in the second paragraph or second line, because the town of Tunbridge does not permit access. I just thought we should add currently.
No, that's currently is redundant.
Okay,
That's not as a current.
and
tense.
then my other thing, and I didn't go back to the recording, I'd like Bob to confirm his statement that he said he did not currently support road access on Key Hill.
That's what he said.
Okay, maybe,
No, I'm literally in the reporting.
is that correct? Bob?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anything else on May 11th? So can somebody make a motion that we accept the May 11th meeting minutes?
I motion that
With
we
those
accept the May 11th meeting minutes.
We have a motion made. Got a second?
We can, no, because I think it needs to say with changes.
Oh, all right. So a motion made to accept.
I mean, you
with
could-
changes.
up again.
You can just remake your motion.
I make a motion that we accept the May 11 minutes with changes.
All right, we have a motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second
I'll
that.
second it.
Seconded by Tim. Oh, sorry, Bob. Tim beat you to the punch.
Oh, you got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Moving on to May 18th meeting minutes. I just thought in the first part under public and the people here, we probably should just say Chair Planning Commission for Stewart, because we said it for Tico, and so just in case somebody doesn't know who that is. Just saying Chair of the Planning Commission.
But he wasn't here as a planning commission. That's why I didn't include.
Oh, is that why? Oh,
Yeah, because he was, I didn't know he was coming into.
yeah, he thought he was supposed to come. I don't know. I just think it's good to put down that he was here at that meeting.
Sure.
And then, let's see. On the last sentence there, it was confirmed that currently the towns of Bethel do not allow public road access. Was there a particular person that said that and not indicated an intent to do so? I just didn't know who said that. It probably would be good to clarify that.
Why is it untrue?
Well, it sounds like maybe they're looking at Bethel's gonna do something or.
Well, that's
I
this
don't-
week. I mean, if, are you saying that, I mean, if it's not true, it's not true, but if you need for it to be attributed to somebody, I can go back and listen to recordings.
Yeah, I just wasn't
But
sure.
I don't think that that's necessary. They don't actually. And now 2 weeks later, they
They
may,
may.
but as of the 18th, that would have been accurate.
All right, so we're just gonna put in these minutes that it is a possibility that Bethel and or Tunbridge is going to do that then?
I'm sorry, but I'm not
No,
changing
no,
anything.
no, she meant today.
No,
I'm not changing, I'm not putting that in today's thing. See, I'll put that there were meetings and that there were proposals and all of that. I'll even link to the minutes. But to speculate about whether or not it's gonna happen, I don't think that would be.
And then it's fair to say that this is speculation that they have not indicated intent to
Right.
do so either.
Right.
No, actually, that's a factual statement.
Who said it then?
No, if you've shown that they have indicated an intent to do so as of May 18th,
I
this is
don't go to the
ridiculous.
meetings.
If there's something inaccurate about this, I'll fix it. But if you just don't like the way it's stated, I'm not.
I just
gonna
don't know
change
who
it.
said it. That's,
Well,
I'm just curious who said it, who's,
do you need to know in order for us to approve these?
well, I think
minutes?
you're putting information out there to the public if we don't know where it's
Do you
referenced.
think that I made it up?
I'm not saying that. I'm just
Well, then-
asking you who
then
said
does it
it.
matter who said it?
Wow,
I'm just.
move
this
on.
is- Like, pick through my minutes every single week, Gidget, and if you could at least send me a heads up that I could to prepare. for
I
that
cannot
before
do
we
that.
meet.
That's breaking open meeting laws.
No,
It
that
needs
actually
to be
would
in
not be.
discussion.
Nope.
I
just
will
fixed that
not
to
without the
group.
discussion of the group. I'm sorry.
Okay,
And
well,
I
I'm not
was
changing it.
Not where I had cell service today, and I didn't see your
It's
emails to the
fine.
end of the
But
day.
but unless you think there's something wrong with it, I'm not gonna change it.
You write them how you would like. Yeah.
No,
Okay, let's move on. Any other changes on the May 18th meeting minutes that anybody has?
I have no comments on none of them.
All right. All right, somebody want to make a motion to accept the May 18th meeting minutes?
So move.
All right. Motion made, seconded.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded. All those in favor? Okay, good. All right, moving on to May 25th. You forgot to add yourself that you were here. Put you in there.
nothing. We'll call that Freudian slip.
Yes, you were 14, so you weren't here. And well, this was the part about the agenda and striking approving, but we also added, so that's what Peter was saying, it wasn't on the agenda. We did also add to talk about the surveys there. So on the approval of the agenda, it was to change the word absolutely from approve to discuss. But we should also have in there that Gidget, and I think Ian motioned it to add the surveys under other business.
Okay.
Okay. And then I think under the discuss ordinance model, I think it was the VLCT model as well as the town of Newport model. Does that sound right? You guys, under that to this end, Gidget moved that the committee adopt the VLCT model and town of Newport.
I don't get that. Did you?
No.
I think so.
It is what I said with using the Newport as a reference. I said they really followed the same.
I seem to remember that.
Guidelines. I
think we
I was
kinda did
confused as to why we
VLCT.
were discussing Newport so
Right,
much.
right,
I was
right,
just kind of like, I mean,
Right.
it's the same as a lot of other ones.
I thought it was VLCT too.
I have it in my notes, but what do I know? I
Okay,
might be taking them off.
Well, I mean, we were looking at the report, so if
Okay.
there's a different link I should be using, then that I definitely, that would be something that would be worthwhile fixing because it's wrong. If we didn't approve the. Because I know we were
Now
looking.
we
at
were
the
gonna
report.
take the VTC, the Vermont cities and towns form, that's the one that we're going to approve.
I thought
We're
that's
working
what we
on
were,
that.
Yeah.
that's,
That's the
I
model.
think that's what we
Yeah, that's the
were,
model.
as
we
the
would
model,
use.
as the model. Yeah, as a general model like we
Yeah.
wrote.
So I just need to find the link to that on their site.
Okay,
Okay.
That's why the link that back in that first email I had sent the group. It is a tough one to find, but. you
Yeah.
can-
and then on the alternate Royalton routes, there, Sewell Brook is just listed twice.
Yes, because it's actually broken up with a trail in the middle.
Oh, I see, by the Watusi Trail.
Right.
Okay, all right.
What's the Watusi Trail? I thought that, to me, that was always the Watusi, the whole thing.
Just, now it's more just the class 4 section in the middle.
Oh, from the town road up.
Yeah,
That's. Okay. I call the whole thing the Watusi.
It feels like it.
Yeah.
it's been called so many different things, and when I
Yeah.
like go back, like, there are official state documents where it's spelled seawall.
No,
Yeah.
that's how it's pronounced. I
Hence why you
It
say
makes it
Sewell.
hard to, yeah.
know, I know.
I was trying to find a permit one time and I couldn't find it, and it was actually in the official state documents.
Yeah.
Seawall.
And then I guess, yeah, next step is, well, limiting ordinance focus to Royalton Barnard corridor. I mean, I'm sure there was discussion about the Barnard corridor, and we discussed the objective and our goal. And then going back, I didn't feel like I got a clear direction that, okay, let's only do the Barnard one. So I don't know, so the way that this is written here, it's,
We went back and listened to that actually several times. And because there was this whole like, what is starting small? And I said, well, isn't starting small, wouldn't that be going to doing the G Hill, Russ Road, but not touching Russ Road and that like those local,
Right.
and you said, well, that's kind of boring. And then Sandy and Gidget said, well, no, we're supposed to be connecting to the corridor. And I said, really? And they said, yes, no, that's part of our what we're supposed to do. And so that was I said, so does that mean that you're only, then that, like the focus then is that access to Barnard, since you can't get to Tunbridge? You said, yes. And then there was, well, but gosh, it sure would be nice to be able to get to the village. We'd really like that. But if we have to start somewhere, we would start going to Barnes. That was the conversation.
okay, so when, and I guess for what goes in minutes, if several members indicated that there was, what I'm coming back to then, there was no clear motion at the end of that that said the focus should only be Barnard. Let's stop talking about the village spur. I guess if that's where, you know, I didn't feel like there was that finality of.
I don't
only,
recall a motion.
and I didn't feel like I didn't understand, you know, from what I understood, there was no finality to that.
And that's literally the problem that I'm having with these meetings is that, no, there's never any finality ever with like, where are we going? What are we doing? What is it? I know you want it all, right? I know you want the whole thing.
I don't,
But if we have to, you know, start small, the way that Bob suggested in what, that was our first meeting, then
I just think, I mean, it's the wording in the wording in the minutes isn't really binding. It's just, so it's not like,
well, the unfortunate thing is that the way the wording is in the minutes, then also, granted, JoJo is not here today, but there's certain things that like in the wording of what was in the minutes, basically then also ends up being the wording of what JoJo puts. And like several members agreed that it'd be a good idea to do a traffic survey. Well, yeah, there was a lot of discussion about it being a good idea, but there was no motion. So
Nope.
same thing
that's
with
the
that,
same.
that if unless it's not like we made a motion that let's do it, that otherwise it was just general discussion. So I guess in understanding this, I just don't know that like with only referencing the limiting ordinance to only Vassar Corridor via Barnard, that's a correct representation of what the finality of the discussion was. And I agree, maybe there was no finality of the discussion, and that's why I was looking for consensus from the group of, well, or, you know, I know we're already moved on, other stuff is,
Can we add like there was no consensus to the end of it?
just a simple disclaimer.
right, because otherwise several members indicating that, you're correct. We didn't, you know, have a motion or, you know, it wasn't that other things weren't also discussed.
Another thing that I'm thinking as I read this is that getting to Barnard is our goal, is the club's goal, is to get to Barnard. But even if we get a route to the end, that's a good ride. It's a good ride to the end and then back. I mean, at least it's a good ride through there. Whether you can connect to Barnard, I mean, that's going to take some time.
Because then that's when we end up talking
Because we
all
got, we
about,
got the state and all that other stuff to go through, so it's gonna take a while to get, but the goal still should be to get to that corner. Even if you have to ride all the way over.
Where do you want me to ride there?
You just ride up there and turn around and come right back down.
Back down through. I mean, it's a ride. It's.
That's what Island Pond is.
there are,
You can ride, like right now. you can
I
ride.
would just say that there was no, consensus or motion
Where do you want that to be?
at the end of that paragraph,
Which
at the end of that, well, there's only 2 lines in the limiting ordinance to focus to Royalton Barnard, so at the end of, this should be ATV committee's goal.
Several members indicated that. I mean, I was gonna call you guys out by name, but I thought maybe that's not what you would like me to do. Would you like me to say Ian and Sandy and Gidget said this was the goal?
A limited approach, it didn't mean just to one.
You said that, because remember I asked about geez, we've got recordings, you
Yeah,
guys.
that
let's
is the goal. I
I'm not
agree with you.
gonna
That
take
is
an
the
hour.
goal,
You
but
can't like.
But there was no
you can't rewrite the
consensus.
conversation.
He's not asking you to rewrite it. He's just saying there was
You
no
are asking me to
consensus,
rewrite it.
there was no motion.
Does it say that there was a consensus or a motion?
Several members said it should be. Look, I would love for it to not be the goal.
I just don't see what the problem, it just says several members said something.
I'll just say that there was no consensus.
that's perfect.
Got it.
Thank you.
Okay, and then the only other thing I wanted to add at the bottom under other business was I just wanted to be sure that we clarified at the last meeting when I asked Gidget to be the scribe for writing the ordinance and that the committee members agreed to that.
Yeah, I thought we made a motion for that, right?
I thought so.
This was under other business?
Yeah, I think it was under other business.
Okay.
Okay, any other changes under the May 25th ordinance other than what was discussed?
Well, with the survey, I mean. this
Oh,
is,
yeah.
Again, I clearly, we go back to the recording. Gidget said the survey, we discussed there was discussion regarding adding an additional question to the in-town Royalton survey. We got it nailed down. Gidget made a motion to make the changes and get the survey posted. Tim seconded, and I thought it was unanimous that was what we were doing.
So I put in the minutes this week that we had different memories about what we were voting on, and we decided to table the survey altogether.
Well,
I'm not changing this because that's how I remember it, and that's how I heard it on the recording.
then I disagree. Yeah, okay. Well,
You know what I
Then
mean?
I would-
Just one
I'm not sure
person's
what the right
point
way
of
to do
view.
that is. Honestly, does it matter?
well, yeah, because basically the progress here is gonna be that I just went and posted a survey when there was discussion, there was a vote, and there was a motion.
Who cares?
Okay, maybe we don't need to approve these minutes this week. We can go back and I'll take the time to go back and listen to the recording, and I will tell you all exactly what it said. And that way we can just clear that up instead of everybody trying to remember it right now.
Okay, that's a good suggestion.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll add that. Okay. Anything else?
Sure.
Yes.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor,
Wait.
stand up.
Run.
Well, as David Ainsworth would say, all those in favor, right, stand up.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, thank you.
If anybody wants to, if anybody wants to come up and look around the areas, I'm going to have
All right,
feel free to reach out.
okay.
Absolutely.
Stuart, thank you for coming.
As a duty.
Yes. Bye, Bob. Thanks for
Bye,
coming.
guys. See you next week. I'll be there.
See you, Bob. Get well.
Yeah, be well.
Hey, I'll see you next Wednesday.
Okay.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
I won't.
We miss you.